Welcome back to the 55th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the frozen legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy. It's not that cold here, Drew. It's not that cold.
It's not that cold here either. We're actually in the 80s, and I'm like, it's not summer yet.
Yeah, yeah. That's not to say that, hell hasn't frozen over, but yeah, we could use Mr. Freeze pretty soon here around here.
Yes, we could. So this is Batman Season 2, Episode 20, Deep Freeze. Episode aired Thursday, November 10th, 1966. Directed by George Wagner and written by Max Hodge.
Now, I'm not sure if I can't remember if we mentioned it last week or not, but Max Hodge did write the two-parter Instant Freeze and Rats Like Cheese from the first season with Mr. Freeze. So this is the second time we see Mr. Freeze, even though it's a different, actor, but it's the same writer for both of these parts. And Yeah, I thought that was so. It's weird because even though it's a different actor, he almost feels like an entirely different character. So there are some similarities with this script compared to the two-parter. In both cases, they use Batman doppelgangers. Like remember in that first season, there's a bunch of guys dressed as Batman.
Yes.
And here it's just, a couple of guys, just one guy dressed as Batman and one guy dressed as Robin. So I guess he didn't have that many bat suits left, after this, after season one. But Yeah, so I think it's hard to tell that it's by the same guy. Other than that, I think.
Well, I noticed last episode we didn't have Mr. Freeze changing the temperature in the room for people to like walk through and stuff.
Yeah, no, they did away with that. They also, of course, did away with the fact that he has to wear a helmet. Um, so they put that sort of ring around his neck to suggest that that keeps him cold. So he doesn't have to wear a stupid helmet like Sanders did. They're actually, between Preminger and the makeup people, I do think there's some improvements. The fact that Preminger is bald, I think goes a long way to defining this character in the comics and other places, for the future, for all incarnations of the Freeze after this, because usually he's bald after this, I think. And I don't know about the orange eyebrows. Those were, from what I was reading, those were the idea of Preminger. But I don't know if those, I don't think those really stand. I mean, they stand out, but they look like they itch because he's going to them all the time. And I don't know. I haven't seen that look for Mr. Freeze going forward with orange eyebrows or orange hair. He's usually depicted, if he does have hair, with white eyebrows or white hair. So.
Right. And I think the Mr. Freeze in the animated series, didn't he wear goggles?
Yes, in the comics and in also, I believe in some of the animated incarnations, he has these huge goggles that he wears. But obviously they don't want to hide the face because, 60s actors are like, hey, I want to be recognized. And I think it looks fine. I actually think the design of Mr. Freeze looks better than it did in the first season. And I think by the time we get to the third season, even though it's going to be yet another actor, then I think it even improves more. So this is not one that they definitely nailed right away. This is one that went through a process of, oh, that looks better. Oh, that looks better, so.
Yeah. The one from season one kind of looked like he was in a spacesuit.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And that was unfortunate. And that really sort of, I think, undercut George Sanders, who was underplaying it. And here we have Otto Preminger not underplaying it at all. Wild.
Holy frostbite! When we last left the Caped Crusaders, Mr. Freeze had captured them and were turning them into frosty freezes. Only one person can save them from becoming a frosty treat. Magic Batman.
Dun, dun, dun.
Magic Batman. Will Batman and Robin be turned into frosty freezes? All right, here we go. Answer is Batman is on your side.
Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Kind of dodges the question, but it's good to know, especially in this story that we're dealing with, because it's so easy to lose faith, Drew. It's so easy to lose faith in our Cape Crusaders, and that is a big story point, I think, in this two-parter, almost more so than a lot of other things that are going on.
Yeah, maybe Magic Batman's making a point.
Maybe. I mean, we've known Magic Batman now for, a season and a half. And let me tell you, he speaks words of wisdom. So, to ignore his thoughts is to do this show at our peril.
Robin tells Batman he doesn't know how they are going to get out of this one, but if they do, he's going to spend the rest of his life in a Turkish bath.
Yeah, that would be a weird spinoff. I don't think we mentioned it either last episode. I mean, we were talking about the cliffhanger, but it is odd to me that Batman is supposed to be in a pineapple, famous Frosty Freezy, and Robin is in one that is lime. Is that right?
You're asking me to remember something.
So,
I
yeah,
think it was lime.
I think I just find it odd that well, I mean, Robin's is colored correctly. Batman's is colored blue, and that doesn't scream pineapple to me. So I don't know if there was a mix-up in terms of the script and when they realized it or whatever, but it would have made more sense if they had said like blueberry or something. But in any case, I do think the two guys are doing a great job selling how cold it is because they're like,
Especially since it looks like they're in bubbles.
That's exactly right.
You've hit it, Robin, a Turkish bath. The steam in the pipes of the most Turkish baths is superheated moisture. Remove the heat, and the moisture turns to frost. Feeling around with their feet, the Cape Crusaders discover a spigot, which Batman believes is the heat exhaust valve. Using their feet, the dynamic duo reverses the process of refrigeration and melt their way out.
Is that what happens? Because we don't really see it.
No, we don't. It cuts away.
We Batman says, "Hey, let's try to monkey around with our feet a bit," and then the next thing you know, they're free. I look visually, the Freezy Death Trap looks pretty cool, but and they sell it. Bert and Adam sell it really well, but I think the conclusion of it was pretty weak. They just sort of Batman says, "Let's try this," and the next thing you know, they're on their way to the Batmobile, and they're on their way to the Batcave via the Batmobile, and it just seems like that's pretty lame. I don't think we've seen one that's that lazy as far as how they resolved it, you know?
Yeah, they didn't show anything.
Nope.
Unless they did film it and decided to cut it for time or something.
I
But
mean, it's possible, but still, that's kind of important. How you get out of a out of a cliffhanger is something that's pretty important. Might help the kid. Look, if some of us are put in a similar scenario, it would be nice to know exactly what they did to get out of it.
I hope I don't find myself in a frosty freeze.
Well, you never know.
Back at Mr. Freeze's hideout, the King of Cold comes up with the greatest ice cream. I read that wrong. The King of Cold comes up with the greatest ice crime in history. He's going to destroy Gotham by freezing it. After After that, he plans on marrying Miss Iceland. She is to become Mrs. Freeze.
Okay, the Miss Iceland stuff is it seems like it's just tacked on to this, but because they don't really talk about it a lot. I mean, yeah, it's there, but in the previous episode, he was Mr. Freeze was going his Operation what, Hate Batman, right? I think that's what it was called.
I think
Um,
so.
so and he wanted to ruin the reputation, and then he just flat out decided that, you know what, I think I'll just kill him. And so now he's moving on and he's going to freeze over all of Gotham, which is pretty impressive. I mean, we haven't seen, I think the Minstrel is the only other villain that we've seen that's capable or interested in this kind of retribution towards a city. The Minstrel, if I remember correctly, wanted to like, have earthquakes and shake the whole city up, maybe even the
Right.
world. And here, Freeze is showing huge levels of his power. Like he's able to freeze an entire city, he says, and I mean, they have reason to believe him that he can do it, and that's at a level that we don't usually see. Usually, it's like somebody's kidnapped or something stolen or something like that. This is like huge, like almost Bond villain level. And and I think George Sanders was better at playing the vengeance angle, the fact that he was wronged from what happened to him and he wanted everybody to pay. Whereas Preminger is just one note, and he doesn't really sell it to me that he's angry enough at the world to do this. Especially when he's just walking around all the time going wild.
Well, I noticed in the scene that Mr. Freeze wasn't wearing his fire extinguishers. So apparently he doesn't need them to maintain his temperature.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Probably he probably wanted them off because they're freaking heavy.
I think when he is in his element, when he's at home, like in his hideout, he doesn't need the tanks. Uh,
Wouldn't the henchmen be freezing though?
they should be. Yes, true. They should be.
Batman and Robin return to the Batcave. There, Alfred has the Gotham City Herald with the headline Commissioner's stolen wristwatch on Batman's wrist. Batman states the only thing they can do now is hang up their capes and cowl. He wants to lure Mr. Freeze into a false sense of security and overplay his hand. So maybe they should have called this episode Batman No More.
Yeah, it seems like it's one of those things that comes out of nowhere. Hey, I will say that for the most part, though, even though they're definitely in the background, and this one doesn't depend on Batman and Robin using the Bat computers a lot. You see them doing some stuff in the Batcave, but they're not using the computers to find out and to solve things. They're actually talking through it, which I do like. I actually prefer that.
Batman tells Robin that Aunt Harriet asked Bruce and Dick to go into the city on an errand. The dynamic duo go up the bat poles,
The
which
compressed
was
steam Bat
cool,
pole.
because I think this is the first time we see them both go up at the same time.
Um, I'm not sure. For some reason, I'm thinking that we've seen it before with this
I know
season.
we'd seen Bruce go up it, but I
Yeah.
didn't remember
Both of them?
both of them.
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't mark that as far as how many times we've seen it, but we don't see it a lot, and it is a cool effect. I do like that too. I did mark it in my notes because it was notable. Yes, the compressed steam bat pole lift.
Nellie Majors and other reporters have gathered in Commissioner Gordon's office. They demand to know if Commissioner Gordon plans to bring bribery charges against Batman and Robin. No one has seen the dynamic duo since the incident at Wayne Manor.
Man, I wish Nellie Majors had stuck around as a character because it seems like they could have had a lot of fun with that as the season went on, and they could have done something really interesting with it. She's here and she adds a bit of life to the storyline, more so I think than than Preminger does sometimes. But and Mary Windsor is really good, as we mentioned last episode. And she and Adam, Adam's not in this scene, obviously, but they do have sort of a spark and a chemistry that I would have liked to have seen explored more. So, we talked about Batman's relationship to the press, and it would be kind of interesting to see that. It seemed like Nellie would be the perfect one to have that person, character to sort of represent that and have fun with it. And the elements are there, but they don't really come together in this one, and I don't think we ever see her again.
Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson overhear a boy as he boos a poster of Batman and Robin as he walks by a city drugstore window. Bruce tells Dick that no blow struck by any arch villain has ever hurt him so acutely as that little boy's boos.
Yeah, that line, that whole like sequence, I mean, Adam and Bert together really sell that really well. Where it starts with him, Bruce saying, "Nothing has ever cut me to the so deeply to the quick." And then he says, "No blow ever struck by any arch villain has ever hurt me so acutely as that little boy's boo." And it's just it's a great moment. I think that it's all well done. I like this part a lot. And Adam proves why he got the job. Wow.
In Commissioner Gordon's office, Bruce and Dick learn from Commissioner Gordon, Chief O'Hara, and Mayor Linseed that Mr. Freeze is planning to freeze all of Gotham City unless they pay him $1 billion.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Freeze uses the billion with a B, which you don't see very often because at the time in the 60s, a million was enough, I think, that a lot of people were like, that's a lot of money. We don't need to go any higher. But Mr. Freeze is like, nope, I'm going. Mr. Otto Preminger wants to get paid. So yeah, we see that. It's also interesting too. Bruce and Dick are in the office having this discussion with the cops, and it's just like, why are they here? They're, and they're acting like Batman and Robin would. He's like, "Let me see that note," and he's telling him about like how Mr. Freeze could really do it and everything. And I'm like, Bruce, how do you know this? Now, if they had established they had invited Bruce to come in and he was on like, you know, he was actually talking and he was part of a collective of millionaires that would help him raise the money, that would make a lot of sense. But they don't go that way.
No. A police sergeant interrupts their meeting, stating the switchboard is lighting up like a Christmas tree. Everyone is complaining they have no water. It's the hottest day in August, and the water reservoir in Gotham Park is frozen solid. This has never happened before, not even on the coldest day. At Wayne Manor, Bruce, Dick, Aunt Harriet, and Alfred have been up all night listening to the news. Bruce suggests that Alfred and Mrs. Cooper get some sleep. Bruce and Dick are going to take a walk to clear their heads. Apparently, they don't need sleep.
Take a walk. Um,
Yeah.
Down some bat poles, I think.
In Commissioner Gordon's office, Commissioner Gordon shuts off the television. He is tired of listening to the news. Chief O'Hara tells the commissioner to go ahead and call Batman, but Commissioner Gordon states that, like so many other people, he has lost faith in Batman.
Yeah, this
That's
is
that's a big step there for Commissioner Gordon to lose faith in Batman.
this is a huge step. Look, Neil Hamilton does a great job. He's walking all over the office. He's really showing that he's torn as far as what is happening with him internally, as far as his belief in the Cape Crusader. But to me, they have not done near enough work to earn that sort of crisis of faith that he has. And for him to pick up the phone and then put it back down and just say, I can't. I'm like, I don't know, like like he sells it as well as he can, but it just the script doesn't feel like it's earned, and it kind of falls flat. But no disrespect to Neil Hamilton or anybody else in that scene. I think he and we get to see a lot of the mayor again too in this episode.
Yeah. And I have to agree with you on Commissioner Gordon because, I mean, they've had a trust and they've had things happen before. I would think he'd actually call Batman to see what's going on.
Yeah,
Check in on him, see what's going on.
I mean, previously, I think a few episodes ago, we saw that O'Hara had a crisis of faith, and Commissioner Gordon took him aside and said, basically, almost fired him because he didn't believe in Batman. So that's a strong belief that Gordon has in this man, and it seems like it's pretty loose as far as why he questions it now. But he's just having a bad day and hasn't had his vitamins yet.
Could be. Back at the Batcave, Batman and Robin slide down the bat poles and race to the Batmobile. Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Roger, ready to move out. Minutes later, the Batmobile arrives at the Gotham City cold storage plant number one. Using their batarangs and bat rope, Batman and Robin scale the building to the roof. The dynamic duo damaged the antennas, causing Mr. Freeze to lose the channel he was watching. Now, when they scaled that building, I was expecting some sort of celebrity guest star, but it didn't happen.
No, I
And
think I think with Otto Preminger, he was like, I don't want anybody to outstage me. Oh, just so he was like, no more, no cameos here.
so I don't think we've had a cameo for a little bit, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, this is weird. Yeah, but I don't know what these are. We're not watching them in the order they were filmed either. So it is kind of interesting how that plays out too. But yeah, no cameo. Like I said, Preminger was enough. From what I understand from reading from people talking about behind the scenes of him being on this set, it was not a great experience for anybody.
Mr. Freeze sends Frosty to fix the antenna. When Frosty arrives on the roof, he is ambushed by Batman, who hits him over the head, knocking the henchman unconscious.
Conks him on the head. Actually, just like jumps up and then boom, boom, right on the top of the head. Like, wow. Okay.
Batman and Robin race down the stairs to Mr. Freeze's hideout to find that Mr. Freeze has frozen Miss Iceland in a block of ice. Mr. Freeze tells Batman that he can be his best Iceman at the wedding.
Yeah, and
Robin,
Robin is really incensed about this.
yes, Robin calls Mr. Freeze a sinful beast, and Batman calls him an inhuman demon.
Yeah.
A fight ensues. During the fight, Robin is put on a table with wheels and shoved into Miss Iceland's unoccupied frozen jail cell. Batman goes in to save him, but Mr. Freeze locks the door. Holy chicken coop! Batman and Robin are trapped.
Trapped, but they're gonna be fine.
Mr. Freeze calls Commissioner Gordon and informs him that Batman and Robin are his prisoners. He has 26 minutes to get his $1 billion or he'll freeze Gotham.
On the one
During the
hand,
call,
on the one hand, I don't, Mr. Freeze is seems like he's really interested in freezing the city. But on the other hand, he does say that he would like to use the millions or the billions to, fly out and fly him and his crew, including Miss Iceland, out of the country. So I'm like, well, you can't have them both, Freezy. You can't do both. But he seems to want to do both.
during the call, Mr. Freeze's henchmen load him up with the fire extinguisher. I mean, freeze tanks. Mr. Freeze attempts to freeze Batman and Robin with his freeze gun, but it doesn't work. The the dynamic duo's costumes are treated with a special bat antifreeze activating solution. A
which which
small
which they which they then also applied to their skin, as Robin points out, like, hey, I put it on my skin too because I've got a lot more skin showing than my guy here. Um, Also, when they get locked up, Robin does say, I'm glad that we're wearing our super thermal B long underwear. So they're doing that too. So they've come really prepared, which is cool.
That's funny, Robin. It doesn't look like you're wearing long underwear.
But it's super thermal B long underwear. So
A small explosion blows open the door to the prison cell. Batman and Robin jump out, and a second fight ensues. Batman and Robin defeat the henchmen, locking them in the prison cell. Mr. Freeze calls out for help. His freeze collar is missing. He'll die. Acting quickly, Batman and Robin put Mr. Freeze in Miss Island's block of ice that's got saran wrap in it for some reason. I don't know if you noticed that, but
They,
I was
you
like,
know, the effect is there. I'm sure yeah, it could do with some better effects here, but you know, she's in the block, and when Batman goes to free her and not freeze her, free her, and he starts chipping away, and plastic falls everywhere. I mean, it looks okay, you know, and then he just kind of opens it, and then, which kind of destroys the illusion. But and then they swap one for the other. So
think that's the same saran wrap they used to tie them to the rails for that subway car.
maybe so.
Back at Commissioner Gordon's office, Batman is on the phone with Warden Crichton. Batman informs him that Mr. Freeze must at all times wear his jet freeze collar.
Yeah, I think
Batman
we
and
would know that.
Batman informs Commissioner Gordon that they plan on taking a break. They have tickets to the finals for the Gotham Miss Galaxy contest. Batman knows that Robin is a little young, but Robin interrupts, stating he is not going to be young all his life. Besides, beauty contests are practically an American institution. Batman tells Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon that such logic is indisputable. On the way out of Commissioner Gordon's office, Batman and Robin run into the little boy that booed their poster. They take the boy on an elevator. They take they take the boy on an elevator ride. The boy tells Batman that he is the greatest.
Yeah, that's
Back at Commissioner
that's a nice follow up to the kid that was booing them, but it does look a little creepy.
It did. That's exactly what I thought when I saw that
I'm
scene. I'm
like,
like, yeah, that's a little creepy.
this looks odd, but okay.
Back in Commissioner Gordon's office, Commissioner Gordon tells Chief O'Hara that false pride is indeed a dangerous thing. Commissioner Gordon admits that he was wrong. He turns to the camera and states, so wrong for ever imagining that he was losing his faith in Batman.
I mean, and again, he looks directly at us to tell us that. Commissioner Gordon has broken the fourth wall. He's our compadre. He talks to us all the time. So he pretty good. But and like I said, Neil does a great job. Even though, like I said, I don't think the story earned it. I thought he still did a really good job selling it.
Next week, a rematch Batman versus the Joker. So we
Dun,
see
dun.
that once again, them announcing a villain. So
Yeah.
I don't know at this point if the show really needs to do that to get people excited to watch the next episode, but
Well, you have to also keep in mind that this aired November 10th, 1966. November is traditionally, I'm not sure if it was the case back then, I think it was, but November is traditionally sweeps month. So all the ratings are being that's when a lot of shows do their really big episodes because they know that people are watching and the ratings are really, really counting in November. So I think that I'm not surprised to see it in November, actually. I'm surprised to see this two-parter air in November. Because you'd
yeah,
think that they would want to have a better, well, I don't know. Otto Preminger was a pretty big name. So, I mean, he's not like he's not a big movie star or anything, but people know him. He's a Academy Award winning director, or at least nominated director, and he's been in other things acting wise too. So, I think he's a big enough name that they're doing that. But then yes, they bring back the Joker who uh always got the ratings, I think.
yep.
So overall, how do you feel about Deep Freeze and Green Ice? Again, they don't rhyme, but the titles don't rhyme. I have to, but I will say that combined at 18 letters, It's the shortest title for a two-parter that the show's had up to this point. So I don't know. I expect I understand that we will uh, get another two-parter with less letters going at least one going forward. But yeah, this one has only 18 letters. Yeah, and it doesn't rhyme. So
All right. I don't have as much problem with the title. I thought this two-parter was okay. I don't think it was spectacular, but it was fun. I liked the version of Mr. Freeze without the helmet, with the fire extinguishers on his back, and the orange eyebrows. But I don't know. It wasn't. I don't think it was a standout two-parter. So I think it was. This was just an average two-parter.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think there is some interesting stuff that happens here, but and in some ways, I think, as I've already mentioned, Preminger is an improvement over Sanders, but in other ways, I think he sets it back. So it's not it's pretty easy still to see why Mr. Freeze isn't usually mentioned as one of the best Batman 60s villain. Now, as we've talked about before, that is not the case going forward, either in the comics or particularly, I think, in the animated series. Mr. Freeze takes on a whole new sort of life, if you will. And there is actually an episode of Batman the Animated Series called Deep Freeze, the same title as this one. And it aired in November of 1994. And I believe it was the second appearance of Mr. Freeze in Batman the Animated Series. The first one was Heart of Ice, which, if anybody wants to see a really cool, um, actually, it makes a great trilogy. If you watch Heart of Ice and then Deep Freeze, and then the movie Sub-Zero, Batman and the animated movie, Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. It's a great trilogy of how Mr. Freeze, how this character can be really used and become one of like the ones that I mean, they're really, really the written well, very well. And I think it defines Mr. Freeze going forward for every other incarnation that comes after that is looks to that like animated series appearance as a defining moment of the character. And he's voiced by Michael Ansara there too, and he's just it's good stuff. I recommend that. That's not my shout out, if in case you're wondering. Uh,
All right. Anything else you want to say about this episode before we wrap it up?
I don't know. I think you pretty much said it. I mean, it's par for the course. I mean, it's okay. There's some good stuff and there's some, some stuff that's a bit cringy here, but I think overall it's yeah, it's a pretty solid entry, and we've certainly seen ones that didn't hit this season more so than this one. But and yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because you're like, man, they're so close to getting Mr. Freeze right, but they still have a little way to go. Maybe third time will be the charm. We'll see when because yeah, that's the even though I know we don't look ahead very often, we know that there's another Mr. Freeze coming, and we know that there's another actor coming to play Mr. Freeze. So we definitely know that that's happening. So that should be interesting to see what that's like.
I don't know if I mentioned this last episode, but I do remember seeing these before. So I remembered Bruce and Dick being frozen in the at Wayne
Hmm.
Manor. That I remember that, and I think I remember the Frosty freezes, and of course I remembered this version of Mr. Freeze. So
Gotcha. Would you say that this one is the one that you remember the most visually?
yes,
Yeah. I mean, he
yes, I
does.
didn't remember. I don't remember the George Sanders version, and I don't even know who the third Mr. Freeze is. I don't remember that one.
Gotcha.
Maybe if I watch it, I might remember it, but at this point, I don't remember it. So
Well, we will find out. And yeah, we'll find out. But yeah, I think visually, yeah, they did a good job upgrading Mr. Freeze because I do think that visually he looks a lot better than, like I said, than the George Sanders one. So, I mean, if you're going to have a action figure or whatever of Mr. Freeze, I think this is the one that you kind of go with. More so than the George Sanders one.
Wonder if it has removable fire extinguisher tanks. All right.
Wild.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out?
I do actually. My shout out, and yeah, Deep Freeze would have been a good shout out. Like I said, I think everybody should check that out. But my shout out is a little bit more self-serving because I'm going to shout out. On this show we talk about the one of the world's greatest detectives, who is Batman, of course. But another world's famous detective that I really, really enjoy his exploits is Sherlock Holmes. And I was honored to be included in a new release of essays about Sherlock Holmes and particularly about the novels and stories that have come out since Arthur Conan Doyle passed away, and other people have taken the mantle, whether officially or unofficially. I believe he's public domain now, so anybody can use him in a story. But editor Paul Bishop has put together a collection. It's called 52 Weeks, 52 Sherlock Holmes novels. And basically, it's a look at 52, which is a number that a lot of DC people know.
Yep.
But it's not related to that at all. 52 Weeks, 52 Sherlock Holmes novels is a look at 52 of the best Sherlockian, if I guess you would call it, pastiches. And each one of the contributors have gone beyond like the simple plots to really look at the chosen work and review it. And I will not spoil my entry, although I will give a hint and say that it's a graphic novel that I recently discovered that blew me away. One of the best Sherlock Holmes things I've ever read in my entire life. So yeah, look for that. It's available through Genius Books. You can get it directly through them, which I we'll have a link to that in the show notes because I definitely suggest that people get it through the publisher. I think you can also get it through the normal places like Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. You'll have to probably order it because I don't think they'll be in the bookstores. I don't think they'll do that. But in any case, I'm really proud. There's 52, I think, of us who contributed to stories in it. Obviously, I can't name them all. And to be honest with you, I don't even know all 52 of them. I don't think Paul has given out a list yet, a complete list. So I'm looking to that. But I do know that one of them is our good friend, the award-winning author Bobby Nash, as well as some other folks that I know quite well. So I'm glad to be included. It was fun to participate in, and it should be available while you're listening to this or watching this. Just follow the link and check it out.
Awesome. All right. And for my shout out, I'm going to shout out about BatChums episodes 44 and 45 Ma Parker episodes because
So
you're right.
shout out
What am I
within a shout
shouting?
out.
But I'm shouting out about them because I was listening to another podcast called American Hauntings, season 8, episode 5, The Last Stand of the Barker Gang. So they do an episode about the real gang, and I'm just going to read you a description of the podcast. And if you want to check out some of the history and hauntings about the Barker Gang, I found this really interesting. I didn't know they did an episode on it. I was door dashing and I was like, okay, let me listen to a podcast, and that came on. I'm like, we just did an episode on Ma Parker. So here's the description of the episode. There's a house just outside of the town of Ocklawaha. I know I pronounced that wrong, Florida, that stands as one of the most infamous locations in America's gangland history. It was at this house where the last stand of the Barker gang took place and where Ma Barker and her son Fred battled it out with not with six, battled it out with G men before being shot to death. The violent and blood-soaked battle occurred many decades ago, but there are many who believe it's not quite over for the spirits that still linger behind these walls.
Ooh, that's
So,
cool.
Amer
So you get to
yeah,
learn about the
American
real
Hauntings,
character.
yes, American Hauntings is a podcast I like to listen to. They don't, they, you know, they're kind of they talk about hauntings and stuff, but their main focus is on history, and they like to go with the history behind the hauntings, basically. So it's the podcast is done by Troy Taylor and Cody Beck, and it's really good. I love American Hauntings. So if you
Cool.
like that kind of thing, there's a shout out to them. So
There you
check it
go.
out.
The shout out within a shout out within a shout out. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
That's cool. That's cool.
If you'd like to leave us a comment on the show, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right, you ready to get out of here, Batchum?
Bad chums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries the power, turbines the speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't worry. The Joker's yet to come.